Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.
Hey guys, Andrew McInnis here from WagerTalk.com, back here to talk about the Montreal Canadiens series against the Tampa Bay Lightning. It is Game 4 in Montreal. You guys can tell I am not in my usual setup. I am at an Airbnb currently in downtown Montreal. Down 3-0, but still made the trip. Looking forward to taking part in the great atmosphere that is downtown Montreal. And we have Carmine traveling to Vegas today. Looking forward to having a blast with all the Vegas crew, part of Wager Talk. So Andy Lang, nice enough to jump on with me, fill in. He was on Friday, I do believe. So Andy, I'll start with this. How was your weekend, and how was the Friday show while I was out?
Oh, the weekend was great. We continued to crush golf, auto racing, baseball was good. We had some NBA props as well, but really hitting our stride in auto racing. We swept the board again in Formula One, and another big winning week in NASCAR. It's the hidden gem of my portfolio. I try and get more people to get involved in betting that sport because it's an absolute moneymaker. We're now at 64% head-to-head winners for the year. Golf, we're still around the 100 units profit. So going good. And tonight's game offers actually several betting opportunities that I've already bet on. So this is a game that I'm taking seriously from a betting standpoint.
I definitely will too, Andy. And I think there's a lot of theories going into elimination games that I've discussed, as far as points, as far as the puck lines, as far as the certain parts of the total. So let's just dive right into it, Andy. Let's get right into it. And actually, you know what? Before we do get into it, I will say this, because I think we should all believe in full transparency. I'm in probably one of the coldest, rough patches recently in MLB than I've had in the past, I'd say, a year and a half. So I wanted to get that out of the way and say I do have a play up at $9 Monday. It's a 4% play of the day. Every single play at the website is listed for just $9. But I do want to come on here because we do come on and say the runs that we're on. So I do want to say the poor run that I'm on, and be completely honest. I have one play today with a write-up included. So looking forward to cashing it and getting back in the winning ways with the MLB. But let's jump into the odds here, Andy, for Montreal and Tampa Bay for Game 4. Lightning minus 160, Canadiens plus 135. Puck line plus 1.5 is minus 195. The minus 1.5 for the Lightning plus 165. Total sits at 5 here in Game 4. Let's just start by breaking down what we're seeing here. The Lightning minus 160, Canadiens plus 135. Andy, I know you bet a lot of props, but you've been following NHL all season long. You know what it's all about, and you've just made your money with these props. But doing so, I'm sure you've seen some of these betting opportunities with the puck lines and totals. And, one thing I'm disappointed in myself with is that there was a huge streak, and it's actually still alive with the Montreal Canadiens. It got broken last game, but it's when they score 3 goals. That's their magic number. I've discussed it several times. When they score 3 goals, give Carey Price 3 goals, the team has plenty of success. Their team total throughout this series has been over 2.5 at plus money. So I said over the past pretty much series and a half, even against Vegas as well, if you're going to bet Montreal, bet their team total. I thought it was an outstanding spot for the Canadiens in Game 3. Seeing as Game 2 I thought was pretty tight and they dominated those advanced stat metrics. Unfortunately, I got away from my tactic with the team total. They still cashed their team total and didn't end up winning the game. I'm curious what you feel, especially about elimination games, how you approach these. Because I'll tell you one thing for sure. We have those odds. We can bring them up again to show you why. It's minus 1.5 at plus 165 for the Tampa Bay Lightning and minus 160 for the money line. In elimination games, as talented as we know Carey Price can be and as great as the defense is, I think if Tampa Bay wins this game, they're winning by margin. And if the Canadiens win this game, I'm going to say right now, I think people should take a look at that team total over 2.5. They're not going to beat the Lightning by scoring 1 or 2 goals.
Agree completely. I thought the minus 1.5 at plus 165 jumped off the page for me. I mean, you just look at last game, 6-3, And in elimination games, I don't know if I buy into the elimination game is completely different from all the other games. I mean, Stanley Cup Finals, every
Right.
game is massive. So when you're looking at this -1.5, you got to think, okay, if Montreal's down, then of course they're going to pull the goalie. They're probably going to pull him pretty early. But then you also have the empty net chances. And if I'm looking at taking Tampa at -160, but I can get $1.05 value on the -1.5 when they've been consistently hitting this, I think it's a no-brainer that you take the free $1.50 and take them by -1.5. As far as Montreal goes, I think you're absolutely right. I wouldn't. I know you're saying about the team total, but on the money line, you're still getting plus money. So I would go with if you're betting Montreal, I would just go with the straight up money line at plus 135. The team total is a little bit tough because if we do get craziness at the end, you never know what can happen. Maybe they do
Right.
get a good goal that goes in late. Maybe they don't. Or maybe they get it early, but I think the value definitely the one that just initially I was like that's a monster play is -1.5 at plus 165. I don't mean a monster play as in like load up your bankroll, but as far as value wise, that's probably one of the best deals on the board.
Absolutely. And kind of just what I meant by that 2.5 is just like what's so great about team totals is that in any sport you can bet a team total for their team and they can lose the game and you can still win your bet. So for me, thinking about that and watching those late goals go in for the Canadians, I mean, the goal that Corey Perry scored was outstanding, but the turnover that was taken before that, it almost made that goal from Perry meaningless. You know, there was a lot of highlights, Andy, where people were saying this goal would have been such a nice goal and so talked about if it actually mattered, if it actually meant anything, because you can score a really nice goal or cross somebody up and score a nice 3-pointer. But if it doesn't really mean anything, people kind of lose their interest and don't really care about it as much. You know, if we take a look at game two, like I mentioned, I'm not always a stats guy, an analytics guy, but every single website you look at would tell you the expected goals, the advanced scoring chances, all of the above were in favor of the Montreal Canadiens. But I kind of just look at this series and I think that fatigue has certainly been a factor. I think that one argument that I've seen plenty of beat writers make, which I think is very accurate, is the fact that the Montreal Canadiens have pretty much only used 4 defensemen throughout the entire round so far against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Last game, they gave a little bit more time to Gustafsson and to Merrill. Gustafsson actually makes one of the big mistakes of the game. But when you have, Sherratt, Weber, Edmondson, and Petrie, playing so many minutes each game, and that's happened all throughout the playoffs pretty much, it creates plenty of fatigue. And even for Carey Price, everybody's favorite thing to say about the Canadiens is how they live and die by Carey Price. And I've always said they have depth, but it's true. He's their MVP, and it does look like he's made some mentally fatigued mistakes and some just in general mistakes in this series as well. This series doesn't fall on him, though. They have just made plenty of turnovers, and Tampa Bay is just far too good for you to make turnovers against them because they will capitalize, especially these 2-on-0s. It's hard for me to believe. So that's kind of what I'd recommend to people out there. If you're looking to bet on this game from a Montreal Canadiens standpoint, take a look at the team total over 2.5. And Tampa Bay, that -1.5 is a really juicy price there. Let's jump into the total, though, Andy. It sits at 5 right now. And look, I used to say that way back in the day, elimination games meant under the total. It was just like a load up, under the total, defensive game, first team to 2 or 3 wins. That's what, when I was growing up, that's what hockey was. And then it started to change. It started to turn into elimination games meant, trading goals after goal after goal. And as weird as it is, I've literally have been giving out in-game predictions for betting on this show in the morning. I've been giving out in-game bets before the game actually starts. And that's kind of where I'm going to go as well. And here I do believe, once again, like I've been saying, we see a slow start to this game. And then we start to see goals progress because there's going to be a lot of, conservative play. They're going to be just kind of holding things up. No team wants to make a mistake, especially the Canadians. And then the scoring might pick up. I know a few people that have been cashing tickets with the second period over. Unfortunately, not every single book offers individual totals. But if that's an option for you guys, I would look at that. I think this game starts slow, Andy, and then picks up. And even at the 5 as the total with 2 great goaltenders, I still believe I couldn't look under the total here tonight.
I couldn't look under the total either, especially if I really like Tampa Bay minus 1.5. I mean, you know, if you believe that it's going to be minus 1.5, you got to believe there's going to be multiple goals. Touching on that, I would look at the shots on goal. You look at game 1, not a lot of shots on goal, 27-19. In game 2, 23-43 for a total of 66. Game 3, 30-35 for a total of 65. And here in the U.S. on the big books, the total shots on goal for tonight is 59.5. I'd take the over. And like you said, I would expect this to start off fairly slow, pick up in the second period. And then if you got a close game in the third period, or if you have one team that's trying to catch up, look for them to pepper the goal. I really like the over 59.5 shots. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to see one team get to 40 shots if they're pressing late. And out of those 40 shots, maybe 5 or 6 of them is in the last 2 minutes or minute 30.
Absolutely.
One of those deals. So I think there's some real value on that one. I was pretty surprised to catch a number under 60, seeing as how we've easily gone over the 60 total the last 2 games. In game 1, it was kind of expected, 2 teams feeling each other out. You don't want to make the big mistake. Therefore, instead of loading up on a wild shot, you maybe pass it to somebody else. But then game 2, you start to see it open it up. Game 3, you see it open up. You get the big 6-3 score. I like the over. Any number under 60 total shots, I would take the over on.
That's a great call. Really great call. And especially you can also look at saves for goaltenders. I always say, Andy, a lot of people's book either offers shots on goal for a team or saves for their goaltender. One of the two. Most books are kind of one or the other. And I look at both. I think they kind of coincide. They kind of they're very similar, unless you expect, an 11-goal game. But I think if you look at this game, I wish you could bet individual period shots, because then, like you said, that third period is going to be just a kitchen sink type of game, everything being thrown at the net. I wanted to touch on a few lineup changes that were made for the Montreal Canadiens. I was quite shocked. Head coach Dominic Ducharme chose to sit down Jesperi Kotkaniemi. He has changed the lineups. He has told Kotkaniemi he is wearing a practice jersey, so he is not in the lineup, and they are bringing back Jake Evans. Of course, Jake Evans has played 1 game only since his injury, where Mark Scheifele took him out and he was suffered a concussion. So the lines currently sit at Toffoli, Danault, Gallagher, Anderson, Suzuki, Caulfield, Byron, Evans, Lehkonen, and the usual Armia, Stahl, and Perry line. I bring those up because Tampa Bay hasn't really changed their lines. But when it's game 4 for the Montreal Canadiens, what's the old-fashioned saying, Andy? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. They had to make some changes. I'm curious why they take Kotkaniemi out, because he's kind of a scorer and has a great shot, but I guess they wanted the workhorse and the guy that, has the speed and kind of that physicality aspect that Kotkaniemi doesn't always have, even though he's a little bigger. So I'm curious how this works as far as the matchups go. Obviously, breaking up that top line, trying to separate the scoring around a little bit. So I wanted to bring that up because there's a prop that I'm looking at, and we'll jump into a few props before we close things out, Andy. I know you have a few you can give us. I've been riding Nick Suzuki to score a goal or to get a point. This team seems to live and die by him. I always said, and I've said on this show quite often, about how with the Montreal Canadiens, it's hard to bet props with them because it's very sporadic who's going to do something. But Suzuki has looked like, a seasoned player at this point, and definitely hasn't been playing the level of his age. He's been playing as if he's been in the league for several years now. And the books haven't really adjusted. I know you've made some good money on guys not to score a point, Andy, but Nick Suzuki to score a point, whether it's an assist or a goal for me, is still at minus 120. Minus 120, 125. I think that's a great number for him. I think he'll get involved. And as far as these goal props go, it's hard for me to argue a Kucherov plus 170, a Stamkos plus 200. For the Montreal Canadiens, I think it's, again, too sporadic. I mean, Cole Caulfield plus 285 holds a little bit of value there. I wish it was a little bit better. Josh Anderson plus 350. To me, that's quite a bit of value. But I'm curious what you have to say about some of these shot props and some point props, because I think the shot props could be killer tonight. I have a few I want to mention as well.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of inconsistencies in the Tampa Bay Lightning shot, so I find them pretty difficult. You look at somebody like Stamkos. I have his game log pulled up here. So just going back to Islanders, one shot, two shots, one shot, 5, 4, 1, 3, 1, 1, and those are the inconsistencies that I want to avoid. I just don't think there's a way to properly handicap uh, someone like Stamkos coming out. Is he going to fire away? Is he not going to fire away? That being said, even though they've scored a lot of goals, he only has 1 point total in this series. So if you want to do a little bit of a contrarian play, you might look at Stamkos to not have a point since he's just he's not filling the stat sheet. Important to the team, but not filling the stat sheet. The other thing is, the other thing when you're looking at these shots, you would think a team that's up 3-0 would be just, hammering the goal, but their shots on goal 27, 23, 30, nothing that's jumping off the page. Montreal's outshot them the last couple games. So if you're looking at shots on goal, you're almost kind of leaning towards looking at some of the Tampa Bay Lightning under their shots on goal total because they have a lot more efficient shots. They have better scoring opportunities as opposed, it's the quality over quantity type deal you're dealing with them. And if you think that Montreal is going to be down, then you're going to be looking at some of the shots on goal going over their totals. Some of the guys like Suzuki, like you said, maybe Shea Weber had a 5-shot on goal game. So some of those guys that's going to be out there late. And like you said, you mentioned fatigue, and it's a tough decision for coaches, and this goes across all sports. Do you want your starters and your main guys at 80% health, or do you want the backup at 100%? Do you want your big name guys a little bit tired, or do you want the backup guys, fully rested? It's a tough decision. There's probably no right answer, but you got to believe in an elimination game. You're letting them ride. They're getting all the minutes. They're going to get as many shifts as humanly possible, which probably means they're going to be filling up the stat sheet. So I would look at some of these Montreal Canadiens who you think are going to be in at the end, who are going to be trying to really, really milk up the shots in the third period to go over.
Absolutely. There's a few I wanted to go through. And like you said, it's been interesting with the Tampa Bay Lightning because they have been a little bit of a mixed bag. If we look back to the Vegas series, where did Montreal get exploited the most? And I think it was when they're involved in their defensive zone. The players, and it's definitely been from their coaching staff, they sit back. They pretty much allow the defensemen to take shots. And remember the Pietrangelo one? I mean, that was fun to cash tickets on, Andy. And I think I might look back to the exact same boat. What are you going to say?
No, go ahead. I remember the Pietrangelo very well.
So I think we'll see something very similar with Victor Hedman tonight. He's like plus 110 over 2.5 shots. And a guy like Yanni Gourde even, he's plus 135 over 2.5 shots. And, I think that it's really funny because I've said this strategy before, and I've really started to notice it the more the playoffs move on. There's a big difference between dangerous shots and just shots in general. And so a guy like Yanni Gourde, he plays such a speed game, very fast. He wants to just get the puck across the red line, get in the offensive zone, and get the puck on net. So some of these shot attempts, Andy, that you're just throwing the puck on net to get a freeze, isn't really like an attempt to score. It's just like throwing the puck on net. But it all counts the same. It all counts as a shot in our book. So I feel like he's one of those guys, and down the lineup, even looking for the Tampa Bay Lightning, at certain guys like that could even be a little bit of sleeper picks because guys that you might not suspect to score, because you could see a guy like Kucherov tonight get one shot and it could be a top right corner goal. But you could see certain guys down the lineup have 4 shots and all of them be kind of weak. So it's an interesting part to look at. As far as Victor Hedman goes, I just, again, expect a lot of shots from the point from this team. I think Montreal will do a good job of containing inside the paint, like right near the blue paint, and like trying to box those guys out. But I really don't think that they can stop, Victor Hedman and the defensive core of Tampa Bay of getting shots from the point. And at a plus price too, Andy. I mean, remember with Pietrangelo, they were turning into like 3.5 at like a minus price. So I think tonight, Victor Hedman and the defensive core actually have a good opportunity.
Yeah, those perimeter shots, like you said, they count. And I really, truly believe that hockey has it quite embrace these deep analytics. And I go to a sport like UFC where it used to just be strikes. Like, how many times did the other guy hit the other? Well, and then they added significant strikes. And how much damage did the strikes do? And it goes exactly to your point of, well, yeah, it's technically a shot, but was it really a shot, or was it just to try and flip the puck in the
Exactly.
general vicinity and the goalie happened to nick it with its glove, therefore it goes in the stat sheet as a, in basketball, like, well, was that a controlled tip? Does that count as a rebound, or does that count as like a loose ball bat, So
Just give it to him. Just give it to
yeah,
him.
exactly.
But I
Yeah,
look back to last year, Sandy. Vegas had double the amount of shots in one game, and those dangerous scoring opportunities that you're talking about were 13-10. So Vegas
yes,
had like
absolutely.
45 shots. They had 40-something shots, but their dangerous scoring shots were only 13.
Amazing. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the quality over quantity talk, which in hockey, I truly believe over the next year or so, hockey will embrace some of these in-depth analytics. Absolutely, you're way ahead of the curve on that one.
My new favorite one, Andy, if you can see these, I don't always see them. I see it floating around. A few Twitter accounts tweet them out. They're calling it the home plate stats in hockey. So you almost put a home plate right in the front of the net, like a graphic of the home plate, right? And it's those are the areas where you want to have shots from. It's a real thing, and they look at advanced metrics and dangerous scoring opportunities. It's a really cool graph, and it shows if you're not getting shots within that home plate shape, then it didn't really matter. So thought that was kind of interesting. But I think the shots will be there. Andy mentions the team props for both those teams. I look at a few player props as well. And I'm going to go right back to it. Like I said, guys, I really, really do believe if you have a book that offers this, you can shop around, take a look at that third period over 1.5. We have seen all of the games so far in this series. Beside that, I think one, start off a little bit slow for the first 5 to 10 minutes and then really pick up. And I feel like that will be the case here. The books don't make adjustments, according to what game it is in a series. But as you guys know, with elimination games, I've cashed plenty of tickets with either in-game overs or pre-game overs. And I'm looking to do the exact same thing here tonight. Well, I'm in Montreal. So hopefully get a win, but also cash some tickets as well. And I think Montreal has a shot. I'm going to be cheering as a fan. Might potentially look at that team total, but we'll see where I go from there. I'm looking at the totals a lot and some props for tonight, Andy. We'll throw out those odds one more time for tonight's games. I want to show you guys the difference between that money line and the puck line, minus 160, and the puck line plus 165. If you're going to bet Tampa Bay, guys, take a look at that minus 1.5. We'll see what happens in this game, but that 5 really sticks out to me. I think Carey Price could have his best game of the playoffs, and we could still potentially see a 4-2 game either way. I'm looking to see some goals in this game tonight. Andy, any last props or anything you want to mention? And if not, let's go to a best bet and your promo for tonight for a $9 Monday.
Well, I have something interesting, and this just happened right before the show, and I need your advice. And actually,
okay.
This would be a good one. This would be the good one for the audience to comment below. I will first give you my best bet, and then I will tell you the conundrum that I am now in. My best bet is Tyler Toffoli. Old Faithful will not have a point. He does not have a point in the series. This is now 6 out of 7 games. He does not have a point. Tampa's just done a fantastic job on him. The scoring opportunities haven't been there. Not a lot of shots on goal. And he's been great for me this postseason. He really has. I've keyed in on a few guys, and Tyler Toffoli under his shots and under his points has done really good for me. So my best bet tonight is Tyler Toffoli will not have a point. Now here's my
Andy, if you want me to get you a jersey for him here while I'm here, I can ship you one. If you need his jersey, it's like you're a fan, but you're not. You're a fan of betting on him or against him.
Well, it just needs to say Tyler Toffoli, and then I'll put an arrow pointing under right next to his name. So here's the conundrum. So I went into my own book, which does not have any limits, to make my bet. I accidentally put an extra 0 on the end of my bet. So I have an insane amount of money on Tyler Toffoli will not have a point.
All right.
So do I run with it? Hope for the huge payday? Or do I contact the book and say, hey, you guys know this is way out of character for me. I did not mean to do this. Can we get the right amount in? So what say you?
Well, I won't speak for, your betting limits and finances, but I'll say this. That move that he made, Andy, for his line really makes me like your pick, because those
Okay.
lines were just like those lines were actually just tweeted out like half an hour before we came on live here on Wager Talk TV, and he pretty much got moved to the shutdown line. He got moved to the first line. The first line has not been a scoring line for the Canadians. Gallagher hasn't scored. Deneau scored his first goal since the Ice Age. I mean, when you look at it, those guys aren't out there to score goals. Those guys are out there to play lockdown defense. So, the line combos really make me like your bet a lot more. I'll say that as from an informational standpoint.
I'll put that in my write-up. So I'll also put that I have an insane amount of money and I will be watching this game furiously tonight. Get him off the ice. What's your best bet tonight?
I'm going to go with the Suzuki to score a point, just because I do believe that just whatever the result happens tonight, I do believe we will see that line get on the board. Josh Anderson's been great for the Canadians, but he hasn't been great scoring wise. He's made a lot of plays, been physical. He's driven to the net quite a bit. But no matter how much he's crashed the net and tried to use his speed, he hasn't been able to get there. But now they move him to this line with Caulfield and Suzuki. So it's Caulfield, Suzuki, and Josh Anderson, which is clearly their scoring line now and their skilled and speed line. And all I'm asking is for Suzuki to get on the board with a point or a goal. I believe we will see that in tonight's game. And they don't really adjust the price on this. So it's minus 120, 125. I'm going to take that. And definitely that'll be a wager for me tonight and my clients on the board. Suzuki to score a point, minus 120. Andy Lang with Tyler Toffoli to not record a point at minus 118. And he really does love that play. $9 Monday, guys, for every single person at WagerTalk.com. I have a best bet up in the MLB. Is there anything you have up for throughout the week, Andy, or just action for tonight?
Action for tonight, I'm sure I'll have a couple of baseball plays. Like I said, golf and racing. We're in July, which is, kind of a slower time of the year for us. That's kind of where we hunker down and get ready for football season. But no, just don't forget about golf and NASCAR. You guys need to pad your bankrolls. Just follow me on Wager Talk. I will have my racing picks out, my golf picks out, and fingers crossed for a Tyler Toffoli to not have a point tonight. But Andrew, I do hope we're able to do another show. I hope they extend this series out a little bit. I do hope you have fun. That for me, that's the most important part. I'm hoping you have a good night. I'll take the over on that one.
I'll take the over on beers consumed. I really do appreciate it, Andy. Happy to do the show with you. Here I am doing the show kind of a little bit different. My laptop is currently on 2%, so we have about 20 seconds to wrap up the show. So on behalf of Andy Lang, I'm Andrew McInnis. You can find us on WagerTalk.com. Every play is just $9 today, and hopefully we'll see you for a Game 5. Best of luck, guys, and take care.
Sign up for the free WagerTalk text club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.